Hello again. We're going to go over how to make a unicorn. We have a lot of supplies for this one. You have your unicorn horn, thanks to my mom who still reads the newspaper. So our horns are made out of newspaper. And then we have your horn covering, and we have your unicorn head and ears. But first, I wanted to start with talking a little bit about the materials we're using to decorate our unicorns. The main thing we're using is chalk, and it's the pastel chalk that when you use it just plain, if you brush up against it, it smears and comes off on your hands, and it's really usually pretty hard to blend together. So we're using something called sizing, which is used in a lot of crafts now, but the original purpose of it was for starching shirts when you iron them. You can choose any colors you want. I just want you to think about when you put colors next to each other and blend them together, colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, like yellow, orange, and red, will blend pretty well. Whereas if you have red and green, which are opposite, they're complementary colors, when they blend together, they'll make brown. So you can use complementary colors, just you might want to be careful with your blending in between, unless you do want some brown, which is fine. So blue-green, those are next to each other on the color wheel, so they blend pretty well. And once this dries, it makes a nice smooth finish. Here's a different one I did with pinks and oranges. So you can do any sort of pattern you want for your horn, or a mix of patterns. But the first thing you need to do is put your name on your unicorn head and on your horn covering, and then this is super important. Put your name on one of the tabs for the horn, because we're going to leave the horns off, because I don't know how I would get them all over to the library in this with this setup. And so I'll be putting them on over at the library, hot gluing them up, so they'll go up on the wall like that. Okay, so once you have your name on everything, you are going to start with your horn covering, and you want to think of your pattern diagonally across the paper. So most of what's going to be seen is in this area, from this top corner down to here. So if you want stripes around this way, color this way instead of straight across. Okay, there's no right way to do it. I'm just giving you a little bit of information. So I'm going to choose, for the top of mine, maybe I'll choose mostly some blues and greens. And I'll try doing maybe some wider stripes and some narrower ones, so you can see what they look like. So with this, you don't need to color it all in, because that sizing will blend it together. And then maybe I'll switch to a different color. I'll try yellow in here. And even though I know these very edge parts aren't probably going to show, I'm going to color all the way out there anyways. You'll see when we go to wrap it around, it's uneven what gets exposed and what gets covered up. I'm going to start with my sizing. So I dip a finger in the sizing and start blending. And how do I know when I need to get more sizing? It's when my finger starts to stick. But I didn't get fancy here. You can get fancy and maybe try and do some swirls with your colors. I always know that you guys are going to come up with something much better and more creative than what I start out with for you here. And that's the way it should be. So if you find that your sizing is getting, like this is really blue-green and I'm moving into yellow and orange, so I am either, I'm going to put some new sizing down, but you might want to just, if you have a neighbor who's using yellow and oranges, take a finger over into the plate they're using and grab some sizing off of theirs. Once you have your horn covering the way you want it, you'll set it aside so it can dry. And then we'll focus on the head. A unicorn's head looks very much like a horse's head, correct? And you can tell a lot about a horse by which way their ears are pointing. If they're like this, they're probably looking at you and interested in you. If maybe one is kind of flicked back, they might be listening for something behind them. If they're both up, they might be kind of mad at you. And then I always thought if they come down like this, maybe the horse doesn't look real bright or they look really tired. So you can you can glue the ears on however you want. I'm going to, let's see, I'll put one up. I didn't really think about what I want to do with my ears. And then I'm going to put one kind of sideways. All right. And then I'm going to grab a marker and I'm going to draw in the eyes. So a unicorn or a horse, their eyes are on the side of their head. And so this is so they can see predators behind them, right? You can do this whole part with marker if you want, or you can use the sizing and the chalk to do the eyes, however you want to do it. You'll just, the advantage to using the marker is it's dry right away. We'll see how successful I am with not bumping into it as I work on everything else. My unicorn has to breathe, so I'm going to give it some, I'll probably make pink nose. And you can do, you'll want to maybe color the outline of this side of the face so you can, so it stands out from the neck. And then if you want to, you can add a little bit on the ears or anywhere else you want. It is my understanding that unicorns, their bodies are pretty much all white, but maybe you know differently. So when you're done with that, you can put some mane, and the part of the mane that comes in the middle is called the forelock. You can put that in there. I'm going to do a big old glob of glue here, and then I'm taking yarn that I've cut and folding it in half and putting it on there. Because one, it's quicker, and two, it's quicker. My sizing has already dried, so I'm just adding a little bit more on the eyes. And I will add some more sizing so it doesn't rub off on Sarah when she takes it to the library. All right, so there is my unicorn head, and we'll have to wait a minute for this to dry for us to put it on the horn. So it is mostly dry. I'm going to be really careful with it while I put it on. You'll want to make sure yours is all the way dry. We'll be able to put them out in the sun. And while I was waiting, I did some chalk on my unicorn just to see what it would do. Now I'm going to take my hopefully dry horn covering and put some glue on it. I'm just going to put a stripe from one end to the other. And then I'll put the point up there and bring it down. It doesn't really matter where you put this on the horn, probably on either side of the tabs. And then once you have that part done, you can add some more glue. And after all that work you did, you're going to cut off some edges here or fold them under as you go along. Let's start with this side. I'll take it over, and we'll be able to help you with this. I'm going to tuck that under and just keep rolling, and then put more glue over here. Now it ends up being a little too long, so I'm going to cut off the piece that's around the tab. We can help you with that. And then I'm going to put in the other. I'm just going to fold those in. I'm going to double check and make sure that my name is on this so that my unicorn gets matched with its horn when it goes over to the library. Okay, so what I will do over at the library is hot glue these on. I will try and get your name underneath the forelock right here, and we'll put it, I put mine on the other end, but we will put them on like this, and whoops, like this, and that will be your unicorn. The other thing that I'm not going to do right now, but I believe we will have some glitter biodegradable glitter to put on these. And the box says that the glitter is made with dragon magic, so that's pretty cool. So there you go.